Testing.
Any, yeah. Committee, yeah. Any members of the community out there online?
I have one member from the public, Carolyn, online, a public member.
Yeah, can you hear us, Caroline? Okay, great. Public comments? I think, Ron, you said you had a public comment.
Testing. There you go.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. As practically everybody in this room knows, I was once a member of this body, but I resigned several months ago, and it is now finally time to tell you why. So I wrote a script. There's way more than this script, but this just gives you the highlights so you know what's going on. Okay, on the afternoon of Thursday, May 9th of last year, the police appeared at my home to serve a search warrant and arrest me. Some of you may have heard and some haven't. This is the proper time to correct the record about these false criminal charges. It is said that a rumor can get halfway around the world before the truth can even get its boots on. For almost 12 years, I have been an editor of a fine art history website. A couple years ago, a badly trained AI internet algorithm, most likely Shadow Dragon, generated a criminal lead to the authorities with instances from the website in a biased way. Many times in the past, law enforcement has taken a closer look of past complaints and determined that there were no grounds for legal action. But this time, Modesto police detectives, through what can generously be called shoddy investigative work, were instructed to search my home and arrest me. I'm not surprised that they did not have the subject expertise to know the difference between art and pornography, but there were many red flags that should have called for caution. Instead, they needlessly squelched my legitimate attempts at education and debate in a rarefied field supposedly guaranteed by the First Amendment. This came completely by surprise, yet I knew there was nothing I could do at the time but be patient and handle this in court. Adding insult to injury, the police published my arrest, and Modesto B repeated this insult despite my history of being a law-abiding citizen. Only lately did I discover that the police outright lied in their press release, and that will be the main basis for a pending lawsuit for defamation. Naturally, the news spread around, and given the nature of the charges, parents were understandably freaked out. For those who don't know, I'm a private tutor. I knew it was useless to reason with them at the time. I felt it made sense for time to pass and then correct the record later. Also, I couldn't be sure that I would find a lawyer and a court system capable of handling my case justly. It was almost miraculous that I not only found a lawyer who was actually an artist himself, but discovered an MJC professor who could serve as an expert witness. I was pleasantly surprised that only about half of my clients abandoned me, and a few more resumed at the beginning of the following school year. I'm currently at about 2/3 capacity, and I'm lucky that I can still make a living teaching. Those who remained loyal were kind enough to help spread the love, air quotes, and help sign up new clients. I am reaching out now because most people tend to accept the police account over my own reputation and character. Now that my charges were officially dismissed on March 7th, it makes sense for me to speak out now with at least some evidence indicating my innocence. It has been emotionally difficult realizing what some people must have been thinking about me these past months. I have been making an appeal to former clients to 1, stop spreading rumors that I'm some sort of creep, 2, help with contact tracing to discover who else knows and needs to be updated, and 3, hopefully help remedy things by referring new clients to me once again. At the time, I was just about to raise my rates, so with inflation, legal expenses, and being 2/3 capacity, this has been an economic challenge forcing me to postpone various classroom and personal projects. In order to increase my hours, I have been tutoring English for little kids, which has been more rewarding than I expected. Although I can sue the police, they can't be compelled to repair my reputation. So I must engage in this publicity campaign to build things up to the previous levels. I want the rumors to be corrected and let new clients judge for themselves the value I bring to their children. Those who really know me understand it is not in my nature to cause harm, so So in the future, if you ever hear of criminal behavior or that I have stopped teaching, don't believe it. I have taken care on the aforementioned website never to publish anything disrespectful, illegal, unethical, or immoral, and thus that site should never have been used to harm respected members of society. I intend to be utterly transparent about this and will entertain sincere inquiries about my work, the website and its subject matter, and my ambitions for the future. As stated, my main complaint is with the Modesto Police Detectives, and that is not the jurisdiction of this body. But shortly after my arrest, the STANCOG General Counsel learned of my arrest and urged me to resign to protect the organization. I know you all noticed my sudden resignation, and you deserve to know what happened.
Sorry, Mr. Run, it's 5-minute limit.
Thank you.
You know, we'll go ahead and let him, you have a few more remarks?
Just
there?
a little
Okay.
small concluding thing. It's quick.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just wanted you to know what happened. I would like to thank Amit Beering for trusting me with his children and his assistance in helping me navigate the legal system, and his wife Sandy, who is the closest thing to an angel on earth. I would also like to thank Stephen Morrow for his ability to resist prejudice and be a friend during this trying time. One does really learn who one's friends are at times like this. I am not too proud to ask for help in the form of advice, connections, or any other tangible or spiritual service that will allow me to move forward in making our society happier and healthier one. That which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comments? Carolyn, do you have anything? He's participating remotely.
No, there's no comments.
All righty, we're going to move on to the consent calendar and take a look at the minutes from our last meeting, I think it was a quarter ago. Comments on that, Adam, Mohammed? Okay. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
We're all in favor?
Yep.
So moved. All right, we're going to move on to discussion items. The first one is 6A, and it's a motion to recommend the policy board adopt by resolution federal fiscal year FFFY 2027 to 2030 funding round, congestion mitigation and air quality surface transportation block grant guidelines and adoption. It's a lot. All right, Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Consider that my April Fool's Day joke.
Oh, is
Like,
that what that was?
Yeah, well,
It's-
you know, just give you a nice long title.
A lot of word salad, right?
Yes.
You know? All right, you have the floor there, Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, members of the committee, it is great to see all of you today. We're here to talk about, as the chair said, the FFY 2027 to 2030 funding round guideline. This was cycled through the committees last month in draft form, and now we are coming back for adoption. Next slide, please. So just a little bit of background on this funding round. This is going to include 2 federal funding programs that STANCOG administers. The first is the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program, or CMAQ, and the second is the Surface Transportation Block Grant, or STBG program. CMAQ is the main federal funding source out there for reducing emissions and improving congestion on roadways. Big surprise, look at the name. This program is used for transportation projects in non-attainment areas per the air quality standards, which includes the entire Central Valley, and projects must show a reduction in emissions from their current standards today. Surface Transportation Block Grant, STBG, is the most flexible funding source out there for transportation projects, can be used on almost anything. Some terms and conditions apply, but it is one of the more popular programs that our agencies work with. Next slide, please. So for this funding round, we held 3 workshops with stakeholders, and as I said earlier, we cycled the draft guidelines through the committees last month. Some of the feedback we received included a request to have a 4-year call for projects. The stakeholders said that the 2-year cycle was effective, but was creating a bit of a burden on local staff due to staffing changes and low staff numbers. So we decided to go for a 4-year call for projects. So this fund estimate includes all 4 years, federal fiscal years 27, 28, 29, 30, as well as any unprogrammed carryover funding from previous years. That gives us $45.8 million in CMAQ funding, $50.5 million in STBG, for a grand total, and this isn't an April Fool's Day joke, of $96.3 million. This is the largest funding round in STANCOG history. Next slide, please. So let's take a little bit of a closer look here. So first, with CMAQ. Following precedent, STANCOG programs special funding off the top for Transportation Demand Management Program, or TDM. These are federally approved projects that are known to reduce emissions in a region. The federal government has approved 2 projects in our region, which are Stan RTA's rideshare program and our very own Stannis Cruise. For the 4 years that we're looking at, Stan RTA is requesting $800,000 and Stannis Cruise is requesting $4 million, so a total off the top amount of $4.8 million. That will leave $41 million left in the competitive pot. Next slide, please. Similarly, for STBG, STANCOG takes a small amount off the top for something called Planning, Programming, and Monitoring, or PPM. PPM essentially is for the administration of these programs, as well as other programming and planning duties that STANCOG performs. We are requesting an annual amount of $200,000 for a total of $800,000 over the 4 years. Added up together, this is about 1.5% of the total STBG available. That will leave $49.7 million in the competitive pot. Sure. Naisha, can we go back one? Yes. Oh, just let me check. Okay, no problem. Let's go one more slide forward, please. Okay, now due to the sheer size of this funding round, we looked at different ways we could break this down to make sure that projects were competing on equal footing. And so some of the feedback we received in the workshop was also to break into large and small project categories, so similar scope projects compete against each other. We don't want a small sidewalk project competing against an interchange. It wouldn't quite be fair. So after talking with the stakeholders, we determined this breakdown as the best approach. You will notice that there is a max request per application. In the large category, that is 5 million, and in the small category, that is 2 million. We also agreed on an application cap of a max of 3 large applications per agency and 5 small applications per agency. Now, for example, that can be broken out between each of the 2 programs. So let's say the city of Modesto wants to apply for 3 large STBG projects. That's great, that meets their cap. We could say maybe the city of Ceres comes in and wants to do 1 large STBG and 2 large CMAQ projects. That adds up to 3, that's totally fine, hits the cap. There is one exception to the application cap, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Now, if we assume all applications are for the maximum request, this funds a potential of 4 large STBG projects, 10 small CMAQ projects, and 15 small STBG projects. Also funds 2 to 4 large CMAQ projects due to another exception that I will get to on the next slide. One more slide, please, Aisha. Thank you. So for those exceptions, first we have the City of Turlock. The City of Turlock serves as both a municipality and a transit agency. And so after discussion with the stakeholders, we agreed that it would only be fair if the city was allowed 1 additional large and 1 additional small application above the cap, provided that they are applying for both transit and non-transit projects. For the exception regarding large CMAQ projects, we are offering transit operating assistance as an option. For federal regulations, that only applies to new or expanded transit operating assistance. After all, CMAQ requires that emission reduction from today's standards. If we're just funding what's already being done, that does not reduce the emissions further. We have put a cap of $3 million per year for a max of 3 years. So no transit operator may receive more than $9 million in transit operating assistance. That limit does not apply to capital projects. Transit operators may ask for as much as they want, and up to the limits on capital. For an example, we could say that one operator comes in and asks for $2 million over 2 years. That's totally fine. That's under both of the limits. However, if an operator comes in and asks for $1 million across 5 years, that would break the time cap limit, so that would not be allowed. Next slide. Moving on to a few additional changes. Due to the size, once again, of this funding round, we are expanding the scoring committee. Traditionally, we have a 7-member committee. We are expanding that to 14, 1 member from each eligible agency. StanCog will provide one evaluator and one meeting facilitator. The facilitator will not score. They're just there to make sure that the meeting stays on track. For other additional feedback that we received, we have added tiebreakers to the guidelines. Specifically for the CMAC program, we have revised the additional criteria section into a project narrative section. That's based off of feedback we've received from multiple cities. They wanted a better way to describe their project and talk about additional benefits beyond congestion reduction. For both applications, project readiness and commitment to complete have been revised to be clearer based on feedback from the local CRP funding round. And for STBG specifically, we clarified regional priority and we added local priority. Local priority is an option for applicants to get a few extra points if that project is part of, say, a board-approved resolution of priority, a capital improvement plan, a short-range transit plan, or other board-approved plan. Next slide, please. Moving to the draft and the final, there were very few changes between the draft and final guidelines. The main thing was just clarifying that transit operating assistance is only eligible for new or expanded service. And then we provided some minor clarifications to phrasing and grammar. Next slide, please. Okay, so schedule. Here we are in April. We are taking the final guidelines to the policy board. Assuming the policy board approves the guidelines, the call for projects will be released the next day. Stakeholders requested a 5-month period to develop applications, and so we will have those applications due September 19th. The scoring committee will be convened in October and November, and the programming recommendation should be coming back to you and to the policy board in December. We plan to amend these projects into the FTIP to reserve that funding in January of next year. Next slide, please. And with that, I would be happy to take any questions.
Wonderful presentation. And just one question. I saw that on that slide, it talked about the clarification as far as the operating assistance. Is that time limited? My understanding is for expanded or new services. Is that assistance, is that for a specific period of time, or is it?
So we are limiting to where you can get 3 years of funding. However, once we program that into the FTIP, we can move it around to suit your needs. It's just once you start drawing it down, you haven't, I believe it's now within 5 years that all of it has to be expended. I would need to double check the IIJA regulations, but I believe that is the requirement to spend it once you start drawing it down.
And I just have one other question. I think there was a slide. It had like, it's a slide where you had the large projects and the small projects. And I saw underneath it said 2 to 4 potential. What did that mean?
So the 2 to 4 potential in the large CMAC, if we assume that all of them come in for the max of 5 million, that would be 4 projects.
Okay.
However, if someone comes in and asks for, say, 9 million in transit operating assistance, that would kind of skew it, so it would be closer to 2 or 3 projects.
Okay.
We decided that transit operating assistance, if you're asking for the full 9 million, that should compete in the large category. It wouldn't be fair to compete in the small category.
Any members have any questions? Other questions?
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead, Adam. Member Barth?
Thanks for the presentation as well. I know you've worked a lot with my team, working out the details of this, which is great. I appreciate that. I know these funds are for federal fiscal year 27 through 30, right? So, say a project was ready to go in fiscal year 27 for whatever amount it was, or for all of it. How are those funds all available in the first fiscal year, or are they spread out over the course of the 4 years? How does that work?
Excellent question, and I'll get a little bit into the weeds here. So as soon as we program these projects into the FTIP itself covers federal fiscal years 25, 26, 27, and 28. And then we're doing 29 and 30 to kind of preload the next FTIP. If the projects are in 27 and 28, I have freedom to move that around within the 4 years as necessary. We can do something called Expedited Project Selection Procedures, or EPSP. That funding can be moved forward if you are ready to go immediately, provided we have capacity, which StanCog definitely has capacity right now to do that. So let's say we program a project out in 28, but you're ready to obligate that and transfer the money over to FTA. We would be happy to do that for you.
Okay. Is this contingent on, Congress hasn't appropriated any of that funding yet, right? Or the IIJA expires next year. So could any of this change next year once a new authorization bill is done, or it could be extended too?
That is also an excellent question. So CMAQ and STPG are historic forms of funding that have been around for many, many transportation bills now. We are confident that they would return, and they're probably not going to be touched because many regions rely on it throughout the country. What could happen, however, with that new transportation bill is that any funding that is not programmed could be rescinded. So that is another reason why we want to make sure that we are moving quickly through this process to reserve as much funding as possible.
That's great. For the TDM for Standard TA, I noticed it was 800,000 for the 4 years. So I assume it's 200,000 a year.
That's correct.
Sounds good. There may have been a little bit of confusion on that piece, so that's fine. But I'll clarify with my staff on that.
Okay.
And then operation assistance. So that's only for new or expanded routes, right?
Correct.
So just a scenario. What happens if TDA funding comes in low or flat and we have to remove a route? And then how long does the route have to stop running for it to then be called a new route? You don't have to answer it right now, Blake.
I was going to
I'll put you on the spot a little
I
bit.
just reread the new interim guidance, and I remember it mentions it. I can't remember the time limit on how long it would need to be removed. I want to say it's 3 years, but don't quote me on that. I'll follow up with
Okay.
you.
Can I follow up on that? I think that you might be able to, this is just a thought, and I would definitely check with Blake, but from my past experience in transit, you may be able to eliminate a route, like you said, and that's perfectly acceptable given everything is flat right now, everything. Remove it, but then come back with mostly the same route, but with some augmentation to it. Because during the time that you had to remove it, you found that you needed service here or there, or whatever. It would still, at that point, like, probably be a new route because it's touching new areas that the route had not touched before. It's not the same exact route. It's a route with augmentation to it, no matter if it's, I would assume it would go to a location that the previous route didn't go. Maybe it's a different time. There's so many things. It's just a suggestion. But I would
Right.
definitely check with them.
I
It
believe-
sounds like what you're talking about is new and expanded. It could be expanded because it's providing services that hadn't been provided before
Exactly.
in the prior route. That's what I'm hearing.
That's what we used to do
I don't know.
at SJRTD. That's what we would do. Is sometimes we had to cut service just because of fiscal impacts, but then we would put them back, and generally what we would do is find ways to, once we got the money back, to do a different way of modifying the service based on needs that we found while it was closed.
Okay. Sounds good. All the questions I have. Sure.
Do you have any questions, Member Rashid? Any questions from the public online? Any questions?
No questions online.
Do you have any questions, Ron? Okay. All right. I take it you're going to need a motion.
Yes,
You're
please.
going to need this to be approved, so I'm going to ask for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All righty. The motion passes, and we're going to move to the next item. And it's 6B, motion to recommend the policy board approve by resolution the federal fiscal year 2027, 2030 funding round early programming. Blake,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A little bit of deja vu with this one.
it looked like it's the same, a little different though.
Slight changes. So essentially what we're asking with this item is we're asking for your recommendation to the policy board to go ahead and program those set aside amounts, and so that we can put it into the FTIP and that money can be drawn down. Next slide, please. Actually, let's go one more ahead. Okay, so just as a review, again, for CMAC, we are looking at two programs, Stan RTA's rideshare for 800,000 over the 4 years and Stannis Cruise for 4 million over the 4 years, for a total of 4.8 out of CMAC. Next slide, please. And for STBG, an annual of 200,000 a year, or for planning, programming, and monitoring for StanCog for a total of 800,000 over the 4 years. Next slide, please. And we have our 3 recommendations here. We are asking go ahead and put those into the FTIP. They will show up in federal fiscal year 27, but as we were just talking about, that funding could be moved forward and drawn down as needed. So, for example, if RTA would like to draw down the 800,000 for the rideshare program immediately, we would be able to do that as soon as it is in the FTIP. And we can go ahead and proceed with the FTA transfers. With that, I would be happy to take questions. This is essentially just a separate item, but it's really just building off of the last one. Yes.
Director
Can
Follett.
you use your mic, please?
Yes, thank you so much. The STBG is the same for the PPM, which is the 200, correct?
Yeah, so it's the PPM is coming out of STBG.
Okay, all righty, thank you.
Any discussion? Member Barth?
Just a question I should have asked in the prior item, but the Stannis Cruise program, I haven't heard much about that recently. Is it running well? It runs the van pool too, right? Or is it just the biking and the?
Yeah, it's again, as I mentioned earlier, we're looking for a transit planner, and we really, really want to focus on the TDM program. But for right now, it is operating the van pool program, which and we still have all the other programs associated with it, like the biking, the walking, all those things where you can go on, you can log in, and I'll be giving a presentation about May is Bike Month. You can log in, log your trips, and win prizes. So we still have that. We do want to enhance it, but the big one, as you probably remember, is as we are growing with the van pool program, we will slowly start getting NTD funds into the community. And so that's something at one point or another we'll need to discuss, because we don't know the appropriations yet. We haven't heard, but we'll have to look at that probably in the next 6-7 months or something, and look at what that is and what we do with it. And then that should start growing exponentially as we grow the van pool program. So I see that program growing. The enterprise is making some changes, and maybe at one point or another I can give a presentation on that about the van pools being more flexible, a flex program that they are going to be offering, and that hopefully will bring in more van pools. But it's something that definitely we want to look at and enhance a little bit more. And the May is Bike Month will be one of the you'll see the enhancements we can do with the Stannis Cruise program fairly easily. Yeah.
Member Rashid, do you have any items for discussion? Okay, any questions from the community online? Carolyn?
No questions.
All right, do you have any questions, Ron? Okay, all right. And you just basically what this is, the first was the guidelines, and this is basically programming the monies that were part of the guidelines.
Exactly. Assuming that the policy board approves it, we figured the money's already set aside. Let's take the final step and put it into the FTIP and call it good to go.
Can I get a motion to approve agenda item 6B, recommendation to the policy board to approve by resolution the federal fiscal year FFY 2027-2030 funding round early program?
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next agenda item, we have this, and this looks like it's just a discussion item.
It is.
Right, all right. It's you again, Blake, and it's the Active Transportation Program and Local Carbon Reduction Program funding round update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I figured that since we haven't met in 3 months, I would just bring a few extra staff reports in and make up for lost time. Next slide, please, Naisha. So this is a quick update on the active transportation and local carbon reduction programs. These are 2 funding rounds that we held here at STANCOG, and last month the policy board took action. I just wanted to provide you a quick update with how those programs turned out and what kind of projects we are funding here in Stanislaus County. So we have 2 programs, and we'll take these step by step. And so we'll start off with the active transportation program. Next slide, please. The Active Transportation Program, or ATP, is a program that primarily funds bicycle and pedestrian improvements. There are 2 portions of this program. One is run by the state, and one is run at the regional level. STANCOG, of course, runs the regional ATP. We originally received a fund estimate of about $3.5 million. However, unfortunately, due to legislative revisions to the state budget, that was cut down in August to about $1 million. Makes things a little bit harder to fund, but we still had a successful funding round this time. Before we get into the projects, I also want to add that STANCOG added the requirement in that all regional applicants must first go after the state. We wanted to make sure that any strong applications are competing at that state level, going after the state money, and then they have a second crack at it here at the regional level. Next slide, please. All right, so we had 7 applications from the Stanislaus region submitted to the state, and one of them was funded. That is the Church Street mobility projects in the community of Empire. That is providing various bike lane, sidewalk, curb and gutter improvements along Church Street, and improving the safety there in the community of Empire. Out of the remaining 4 applications submitted to STANCOG for the regional program, 2 did not apply. Those 2 projects, we spoke with the sponsor agencies, and they had determined that due to the size of the project and our reduced funding, it would not be feasible to apply at this time. One was for $11 million and one was for $35 million. Unfortunately, $1 million wasn't going to do a whole lot for them. STANCOG staff is following up with these applicants, though, and we are looking at alternative funding methods for their projects.
Blake, I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but can you expand on the Church Street project? Because it was a very important project, and one that we got by just working really, really, really hard, and the safety that it provides due to this project. And thanks to STANCOG staff for helping to support that.
For sure. So a little bit more on Church Street. This was part of a much larger effort that was conducted, and a special shout out to Elizabeth Hahn and her team, of course, for leading the charge on this. But STANCOG performed a study of some of the most disadvantaged areas in our region, looking at what improvements can be made, and the community of Empire was one that was found to be severely lacking in safety improvements, where people are forced to walk into the street, especially along 132 and Church Street, of course, where it is unsafe for them elsewhere. They can't get to transit safely. They can't get to school or to work or to basic amenities safely without walking in the street. Last year, in February of 2024, STANCOG also hosted an ATP branch workshop. This was a tri-county workshop with San Joaquin and Merced counties. And as part of that, we were able to keep the CTC staff around to take them on a tour of our region. And one of the places we saw was Church Street. It was right after we had the torrential rains last year as well. So Caltrans and CTC were able to see firsthand where the road is washing out, where people are forced to walk. So as the ATP process opened up, STANCOG, on behalf of Stanislaus County, applied. Right? Again, Elizabeth Hahn did most of the work there, and she deserves significant kudos. We had an extremely competitive session. As I mentioned, ATP was cut down by about $200 million overall, and only 7 projects were funded at the state level. STANCOG's Church Street was one of those projects. So we are working with the county to figure out other ways to finish building out that project. It is also going to dovetail into a project being done by Caltrans right now on 132 to improve safety and primarily provide access to Stan RTA. And so we're hoping to see that built out over the next few years.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for that, expanding on that.
No problem. Okay, so back to the regional program. Next slide, please, Naisha. So our scoring committee met and reviewed all projects, and we made our recommendations, which were approved by the policy board. So these two projects were approved: Waterford's Safe Routes to School on Washington Road for $845,000, and Waterford's Active Transportation Plan for $184,000. I would like to note that the plan is not fully funded. They still have a shortfall of about $240,000. However, the city is working to secure additional funding to complete the project, potentially through a Caltrans planning grant. We hope to hear back on that within the next month or two. Those two projects together take us exactly to the amount that we have for our capacity, and so we are fully programmed out of the regional ATP for this cycle. Next slide, please. I'd like to take a quick moment to highlight our top scoring project here, Safe Routes to School on Washington Road. This project will provide improvements on Washington, Rainway, and Pasadena in the city of Waterford. And this will provide access to 3 schools that are all along Rainway, those being Waterford High School, Lucille Whitehead Intermediate School, and Richard Moon Primary School. Rainway is split by 132, and this area has been known to be dangerous for students to walk. Unfortunately, in 2011, there was a student fatality as they were trying to get home from school. Well, Waterford has been looking at various ways to improve safety, and this project is going to be the final step in providing that safety along this corridor. This section is primarily the route for Waterford High School students, as well as students walking over to Waterford Plaza, which is a popular commercial area that is an after-school hub for students. The picture here is at the intersection of Washington and Rainway. The high school is behind us. Students often walk through the orchard or into the roadway when walking from the east side of the community. This was another area that we toured after those rains, and so students were forced to walk in the mud because the street had started to flood over. Students will often also stay on the orchard side when walking to the primary or intermediate school because it's safer than crossing the road and then crossing the road again to get to the school. This project includes the construction of over 1,700 linear feet of sidewalks, 8 crosswalks, 12 ADA compliant ramps, and 2 streetlights. Roads are going to be widened and reclassed as Class 3 bike routes. And as I said, this is one of the final components of Waterford's safety improvements in this area as well as citywide. Next slide, please. The CTC also requires us to make a contingency list. And so the contingency list here includes Waterford's Safe Routes to School on Welch Street for $900,000, and the City of Ceres Morrow Village pedestrian safety improvements for about $8.8 million. You may notice that Welch Street projects, the Welch Street project score is higher, and it is technically the second highest scoring project. The City of Waterford asked us to move Welch to the contingency list, as there's only 184 left in funding, and it would have been harder to close that gap. Additionally, if Waterford had accepted that money, they would be barred from applying with that project for additional funding in the next cycle. So all in all, the active transportation plan was the much more flexible option for the city. Ceres Morrow Village, I'd like to note, we will be talking about that a bit more in just a moment, as it's partially funded through the local CRP program. Next slide, please. So let's talk about local CRP. This is the Local Carbon Reduction Program. It's a new-ish funding source through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. We had the reverse happen in this funding source. We originally had about 4.5, 4.6 in our estimate, and due to the actual apportionments received by Caltrans, we received 4.9, so a little bit of a bump there. There are 2 years of apportionments that are still in estimates, so we're optimistic about the potential of a little bit of additional funding here in the next few years. For this funding program, STANCOG required all projects to focus on active transportation, so those bike ped projects, and they must be ready to start work, whether that's pre-engineering, right-of-way, or construction, by June of 2026. We received 8 applications for this funding program. Next slide, please. So once again, the scoring committee met, made our recommendations, and were approved. So these projects are City of Modesto's Class Road Corridor, the City of Turlock's Golden State Boulevard improvements, 2 phases, both for $1 million. And I'm sorry, the Class Road Corridor project received $950,000. We also have Patterson's Las Palmas Safety Corridor for $194,000. That's for pre-engineering work. We have Oakdale's G Street Bike and Ped improvements on 4th to East for $780,000, and the City of Ceres Eloise and Dale sidewalk for $1 million. That is a portion of the Morrow Village project, and so Ceres will be progressing with part of that project. Next slide, please. Once again, I'd like to highlight a project here. We'll focus on Modesto's Class Road Corridor here. Class Road Corridor was originally funded through the federal fiscal year 25 and 26 funding round, but the funding that they received from the local CRP program will help them expand the scope of the project to include more improvements to safety and active transportation in the area near Johansson High School and the greater Class Road area. The picture here is at Creekwood and Klaus. We are at the southeast corner near the high school looking northwest. You'll notice that along the north end of Klaus, there is no sidewalk, or there is no crosswalk there. So there is no safe way for the students to get across. Some of the improvements here will include sidewalk bulb outs and pedestrian median islands. So there will be a little bit more safety there. What isn't pictured is just north of this, there's a break in the Class 4 bike trail system. And the project will also help to provide those closures so then there's better access that provides a safe way for students to get to those northern communities from school. I'd like to give a shout out to Mike Sikorsky and Sandeep Sand, who also from the city of Modesto. They put together an absolutely fantastic application for this project. Next slide, please. So once again, we have a contingency list. This is just in case any of those projects are unable to, no problem. And just in case those projects are unable to obligate, we have backups. And if we receive any additional funding, we can put the funding towards these projects. We have the City of Ceres, Joy, Charlotte, Lilac, and Camellia for $979,000. That is another portion of that Morrow Village project. And we have Patterson's, Cliff Swallow, and El Soyo Class 1 Trail for $976,000. We're working with both of the cities to find ways to potentially fund these projects also in case they are unable to get funding through the local CRP from the additional funding. Next slide, please. So next steps. Well, the policy board has approved these projects, and I'm happy to say they have all been amended into the FTIP. They are ready to start drawing down. We have submitted the final allocation package to CTC, or excuse me, programming package to CTC. And we are discussing with the city of Waterford about concurrent allocation. So the plan is in June when the CTC gets our programming request and approves it, City of Waterford is going to come in immediately after and go, hey, we'd like our money, please. For CRP, the project alignment forms have been approved. That is because Caltrans requires us to send the projects up to them to make sure that they are in line with the state's strategies. Caltrans has said that all of our projects look good to go, and so they are ready to start drawing down their money when they're ready to go. And as I said, Patterson and Oakdale are looking to obligate their funding probably within the next few months. We're keeping tabs on that, and we're hoping to get that through in this fiscal year. With that, I'd be happy to take questions.
Any questions from the members? Member Barth? Member Rashid? Any questions from the participant online?
No questions, Chair.
Okay, any questions? Ron, come on up, Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, I do have some questions for Mr. Dunford. A lot of information. I try to keep up. I don't know, I just seem to take an interest in infrastructure type projects, you know. So I have two specific questions, and then I want to follow up on, you know, I'd like a list of this, but let's start with Waterford. I know they did some work on F Street. That's the Oakdale Waterford Highway. Is there anything additional that's part of this that you've been talking about that is on F Street? Maybe an additional stop sign or a light or anything like that?
I've been discussing with Waterford about F Street, and we're looking at doing a sort of second phase, but that's still in planning phases right now, and we're working with Waterford to look at different ways to fund additional improvements along F Street. Right now, though, they are looking at completing the first phase of improvements and then going back through and doing some additional work as funding becomes available. Some of that, I believe, includes upgrading the bike routes.
Yeah, and I think there's some crossing the street issues on F Street if it ever gets busy, which not, you know, on certain peak times, I think, maybe going to school. Okay, my other one is the Klaus Road. The crosswalk. Are you talking about the crosswalk at Creekwood, or are you talking about a crosswalk on 132?
This is on Creekwood, so I know that there's already that overpass.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask about. There's a pedestrian overpass, so that's not considered sufficient?
from what we understand, there's additional need for the crosswalks across Klaus because of the sheer number of students coming from those neighborhoods.
Hmm.
And it gets very busy, of course, at the, as school
Okay.
comes into session. So we're looking at various ways that we can provide additional routes across, and as well as accessibility.
Okay, because yeah, one of the issues there is that the Stan RTA, the stop is on Creekwood. They don't stop ever in front of the high school at all, even inbound or whatever. So that's a concern with transportation as well. Okay, and then my third thing is these other prospective upcoming projects, is that online somewhere, or how do I get a copy of that?
So those are included in the staff report, or as a contingency, I believe, or at least I know that they were included in the March staff report. I try and recall if we included them in the April. Let me double check on that. If not,
Okay.
I can provide them to you in a second.
Yes, I would either like to know where it is online or just get a hard copy if I
For
can.
sure. I'll touch base with you after.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dunford.
All right, any other more questions? All right, well, appreciate you, Blake, and we're going to move on to the next agenda item. It's 6D,
Thank you very much.
and it's the Bike Month campaign.
Yep, can you,
Director Valletta.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
on it
Okay.
with Shannon. So, might not believe it, but it's almost May. And so that means that Stannis Cruise, as we were talking about before, it will be doing our Bike Month Challenge. Well, we're going to do it a little bit differently this year. Before, we had a agency, Left to Right, that was helping us, and we didn't feel like we were getting our really our money's worth. So we reached out to our provider for this platform, Agile Mile, and they are the ones who host the Stannis Cruise website, and all that good stuff. So we'll be working with them on the challenge, and so they've already committed quite a bit of funds for us to be used for prizes and things, and of course we've contributed to that as well. As we always do, we'll have a grand prize of an e-bike worth $15,000. 1,500. Thank you. That would be quite a bike for 15,000. A flying bike. Yeah, sorry about that. So anyway, it's very simple this year. You just record your trips and when. We're not going to go out and see how many miles you rode or things like that. Last year that got a little bit ticklish, and so we're going to do it a bit differently this year. Next slide. So I told you about the e-bike winner. There'll be an early bird prize winner to join before May 1st, and a weekly gift card drawings for a few things, actually. We'll be working with Stan RTA for the Bike to Breakfast campaign in May as well, and be giving out some great prizes then too. Next slide, please. So you go, how do you do this? So you go on our website or on the Agile Mile website, and you record your bike trips to work, school, and around town. And each bike trip goes on your leaderboard, your own leaderboard, not, you're not really competing against others like we did before. You're competing against yourself for the most part. You need to record at least 2 bike trips each week to qualify for the weekly gift card prizes. And the timeframes are listed there for you. And any member who records at least 10 bike trips, this is all they have to do, 10 bike trips during the May 1 through 31 will be entered to win the grand prize of the e-bike. Next slide. Very simple. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Member Burr? Member Rashid? I don't have any questions online.
No, Chair.
Okay, and Ron, do you have? Come on up, Ron.
Thanks again, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Director Valletta, I seem to recall from last year, I'm always interested in outreach to, special interest group like, schools. So I feel like maybe there was a little shortcoming. I think you reached out to some schools, but maybe there's improvement. I don't want to hear the whole thing, but could you tell me what improvements in reaching out to schools compared to last year?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to do all this through social media. And of course, kids are really active on social media. So we could look at targeting the, the social media towards school, school children. We could do that, but there's an age in which, Shannon, can you remind me the age? 13. You have to be 13 or older to even enter into the challenge. And but we could look at that there and sort of target the social media towards the school. We're also going to work with Stan RTA to push out this message, and they, of course, are awesome at reaching out. And many of the people that ride the bus always are students. So I feel like we'll get some good pull there with that.
You put up flyers in the buses, yeah.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah,
sense.
we'll work closely with them. We always do. Both Stan RTA and Move. So yeah, we could work with Adam's team if that's okay, and give out some flyers, maybe make some car cards, Adam. Yeah,
Yeah, inside the buses, there could be,
Huh?
because that could be kind of a medium term thing. Okay, and my other thing is, as a reminder, I discussed this with you before, but Modesto Councilman Ricky has some good expertise about the up-to-date social media. He is in fact, at the last Stan RTA meeting, he kind of criticized him a little bit, being a little bit of a dinosaur, and he does seem interested in helping. So he's going to be receptive, and I've even talked with him about it several months ago. So he's available. He will be happy to help out. Thank you.
thank you.
Do you need anything from us, Director Falana, on this?
No, this is just a discussion item.
Well, thank you for the update. And we know a lot of miles going to be put in, right, on those bikes.
I mean, really, I would encourage your staff to
Mhm.
do this. It's not going to be that hard to win some really great prizes. And Agile Mile, again, the platform Santa Cruz is putting in money. We're putting in money for every week. So these are opportunity to win great prizes, like, especially if you're biking lot, helmets or gift cards from bike shops, things like that.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate that. We move on to item 7, Transit Manager and Move Reports. Member Barth.
Just two things. Earth Day, which is April 22nd, this year it's a Tuesday, we'll have free rides on all of our modes. There is an Earth Day in the Park event, which is the Saturday before. I want to say it's April 19th. That's not a free day, but we will have our booth there at the Earth Day in the Park. But a free day on April 22nd is a Tuesday. And then Bike to Breakfast Day that Jean mentioned earlier is May. Got the date. It's the 15th. It's a Thursday, May 15th, which is Bike to Breakfast, which is this year going to be in the Modesto Center Plaza, not in 10th Street Place Plaza. So for those of you that have attended that in the past, just note the change of where it's going to be at this year. But I think this will be similar in scope with breakfast and fun and booths the 15th. So we're good. Bike to Breakfast, May 15th.
And on that, if we in the past, we've worked with April, right, Shannon, we can promote both of those through the Agile Mile app. And so I don't know if you've talked to her or not, but maybe Megan, and you can
Megan's
get
fine.
that. So we'll push it out that way too.
That's great. Awesome.
Especially free rides. Anytime you have free rides or anything like that, we're more than happy to put it on the app and push it out.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Gene. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
And for Move, we are just testing out on demand. And so you can spread the word. We want to go in this direction for a while now, and we've got the capacity to try it out. And so we've had some experience with it just recently, and people are happy to be able to call in and get a ride the same day. And so we're going to continue to try to build that out. And so I'll keep you up to date on that, but we're so excited about that. I don't have any other thing to report. However, I do have one thing, and I know we talked about it at the last meeting, and it has to do with just this committee and increasing its size. And what I have here is basically, we're going to uh, identify, we've had some contact with a couple of our participant users for Care Cruisers that will be interested in applying, and we're going to support them in applying to be on this. And then on there also, we've identified potential agencies, for, I don't know how to proceed with this. I don't know if Stan Cog would contact them to see if they'd be willing to join this committee.
We'd be happy to have staff contact these folks and see if they'd be on this meeting. So probably we'll ask Naisha to do that for us. She's the holder of the STAC now. So that's great. Thank you so much
Great.
for this. That's very helpful.
Yeah, and we're going to, we anticipate some applications will be coming your way pretty soon for participants.
We
Yeah.
greatly, and just way of education, the STAC is composed of a certain body of individuals. We have folks like Adam and Tony that represent agencies that provide transportation services. We have members of the public, a person with disability, persons with or transit right. There's many different people or criteria for people to apply. So we'd be happy to look at that when they apply and see if we can fit them in. But I just want to make sure that everyone knows we have to abide by the criteria that is actually is a regulation through TA.
And on here, this is based on that criteria.
Oh, perfect. Oh, yeah.
It's all lined
Oh
out
my
with the
gosh.
criteria.
Thank
So,
you so much. I didn't
no
notice that at
problem.
first.
But thank you also as well, but it's a lot.
Yeah. No, we'll give this to Naisha and ask her to get calling. Thank you.
Alrighty, moving on to no Caltrans report.
Yes, I have, from Turlock Transit, I have Rich Green.
Oh, Rich,
Go ahead.
oh, sorry about that, Rich.
Yeah,
You have the floor, Rich.
Yeah, sorry, my phone is ringing in the background. I just want to also mention that we're doing the same free rides in for Earth Day, but also if we can get the Bike to Work Week stuff, we can get that posted on our buses, and we can help
Thank you.
help do that as well, promote that.
Yeah, and Rich, if you get us the information, just like I said to Adam about the free rides, we'll be happy to put it on our, push it out through our platform as well.
Okay, will do.
Any Caltrans reports? No.
No.
Okay, and management report, Director Ferlata.
Yeah, I do have something to report. So we, as the STAC, have to approve the unmet transit needs every year. We're at the tail end of collecting all the comments. We haven't gone through them all, but we will be. We'll be having our transit cost sharing meeting here later on this month. I anticipate that we may have to have an extra meeting. I'm not quite sure yet, but I just wanted to prep you for that in either probably in May to look at those, to move those comments and declare whether there's any unmet transit needs that are reasonable to meet or not. So that will probably be in May sometime. So we might have to have a special meeting for that, or it will come in June. So just as a sort of FYI.
Thank you, Director. Going to member reports. Member Rashid?
I have actually been working with Stan RTA, going to their safety meetings monthly and talking to the drivers. One thing I've noticed that the drivers have not complained about, but kind of stressed that they're not receiving information that is being posted online. That they're receiving, that they're seeing like bus stop changes on the Facebook page before it's sent out to them. And I've already spoken with Simon and Angela about it. And then also, I worked with, is it Duro and Christine. We did a, we took a bus around town, for the Metavan route to look for a new bus, in February. And that's my report. Thank you.
Anything, Member Barth? Yeah, I need to go back. Sorry, I'm going to circle back. Move is in the process of developing a commercial with a group they're called Lemon Light. And so the good thing about it is that we don't have to fund that. We get fully funded through that through our mobility management grant. 5310 allows for that. And so we're excited. Member Rashid agreed to be an actor for us in that. And we're looking at Mickey Peabody as being the senior. And we're going to have 3 actors. They're going to have 3 actors. And we haven't identified the veteran yet, but we'll keep you posted. We're excited about it. We're looking at using it on our website because we are upgrading our website. And we're looking at also using it as an opener for presentations. We can take it with us anywhere. And we also look at presenting it in our lobby. We have a TV in our lobby now, and so we'll present it there as well. So we'll keep you posted. We anticipate, they told us they're going to have a preliminary something for us to look at. You know, we're going to do filming probably within the next 30 days, but we should have something to look at, to review. I think they say it's their first cut, and that's going to be ready around the 1st of June. And so the good thing is that we don't have to worry about fees. You know, they've said they've done commercials before, like for Sprouts, and there was a $40,000 licensing fee, you know, and so we don't have to do that. I'll be reaching out to you, Member Barth, to see if we can, you know, use one of your buses and stage a little scene for travel training. And Save Mart has agreed. There's a new Save Mart. I think it's out there on, yeah, the new one is way out there. And they've agreed to allow us to film outside of it without a fee, no licensing fee. And we also reached out to the Veterans Office, and they're going to get back to us. I guess they have to run it up their chain of command. So, but we'll keep you posted on that. Ready. I don't think we have anything else. Any more comments from from you, Ron, or anyone online? All righty. Well, the meeting is adjourned.
Stop recording. Yeah.